Hi. Joining. I'm super excited. We're going to be talking to Cecile Richards. Hi, Cecile.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm good. Better now. I'm so happy to get to speak to you today. This
Thanks
is
for doing this.
a true delight. For those of you who are watching, Cecile, you probably know her as an incredible national leader for women's rights and social and economic justice. She also founded Supermajority along with Ai Pu and Alicia Garza, and this is a new organization called Supermajority, fighting for gender equity. And she wrote the New York Times bestseller Make Trouble, and she spent 12 years as the president of Planned Parenthood, for which we are so grateful for you extending access to reproductive health care, affordable access for all Americans. So thank you so much for your service and for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I think, for women everywhere, but especially in this country. So thanks for doing this tonight, Natalie. Appreciate it.
Yeah, can you tell us a little more about Supermajority?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. So, as you said, Alicia Garza, who was one of the co-founders of the Black Lives Matter global movement, and my friend Ai Pu, who runs the Domestic Workers Alliance, which organizes caregivers around the country and fights for living wages and benefits. And a couple of other friends we got together about a year ago and little did we know there would be this pandemic, which of course has affected women, women of color, women with low incomes profoundly. But and of course, women have responded, and women are really now doing all the work to turn out the vote, and that's what we're focused on now in these last, however, what is it, 9 days now or something, until the November 3rd election. So I think the main idea of supermajority is that women are a superpower, and that when we pull together across race, across issues, across generations, we can change not only what's happening for many, many years, and it wasn't really until the Civil Rights Act that they got fully the ability to vote. Although, of course, we're seeing today, as I'm sure you're seeing, all these lines and people trying to vote, that we're still far from really having the right to vote everywhere. But it's kind of interesting. So now, 100 years later, how awesome would it be if women with new voters, that's a huge part of, I think, the enthusiasm that we're seeing right now in these lines of people voting and voting early. So again, I just, it's sort of the message is women have the power to really determine what our government looks like, and do we have a government that actually represents everyone, which of course is I This is of course, one of the frustrating things about our voting system is it's different in every state. And so it's really important, just because some people are early voting, some states it's harder than others. And so it's really important to go and find out, one, if you're registered. Some states you can still register to vote. So find out if you're registered, find out where your voting place is, and find out if you can vote early. And the easiest thing to do if you don't have another source is to go to supermajority.com. And if you go to supermajority.com/plan, PLAN, like make a plan to vote, you can find out everything about your voting status. And again, I think there are so many groups. Early. I know I voted in New York City on Sunday. I stood in line 3 hours to vote, and it felt like a long time, but of course it was like probably the best 3 hours I've spent this year. I was telling somebody, though, I heard somebody ask a woman in line how long she'd been waiting to vote, and she said, oh, 4 years. So I think there's also just the determination, right? It's like the determination of people to vote. Enormous lines. So my message is vote early, get it done. That way you don't have to worry about next Tuesday being in line on election day, when I think we're going to also see record turnout.
Yeah. That's great advice. And what's the best way to stay safe while voting? Because we're
wear a mask, be safe. I think the voting places, the early voting places really understand that. And so it's sort of like doing anything else, just be smart about it. And so just follow the lead. And I really feel like folks who work at the election locations are really doing everything they can. And in a lot of places helping people who are older to make sure that they can get in earlier to vote, whatever it takes. So yeah, be careful, plan ahead, make a plan. That's what we're all finding, is because there are so many people voting that it's not every place you can just like kind of run in and run out. So again, let me just say it again in case anybody just joined us. If you go to supermajority.com/plan, you can find out, where you vote.
Sydney, Australia. So I got to vote absentee 2 weeks ago. I sent in my ballot and checked on the website to make sure it was received. So tell me about #WomenAreVoting and how women can get involved leading up to the election right now.
Great. Well, yeah, so Women Are Voting is a campaign that Supermajority is organized with a bunch of other groups to just make sure that women are supporting each other and posting their pictures of voting and reaching out to other women. One of the things that we're doing now as part of the Women Are Voting campaign is phone banking women who haven't voted yet, who maybe have gotten their absentee ballot and haven't turned it in yet. So anybody who wants to help do that, we would love to have that. We're running phone banks every day. It's actually really fun. Women are very excited about voting. So you talk to some really friendly people. Oh dear. Sorry. I just kind of thought that might happen. Anyway, so if you go to supermajority.com/GOTV, then that's which stands for Get Out the Vote. We'll sign you up for a phone bank, all kinds of things going on. There is so much more that women can still do to be effective in this election and make a difference and help women that may not know where they're supposed to vote, what the rules are, make sure that they get out to the polls. I was just looking at the numbers last night, and the number of women who have already early voted just surpasses anything we've ever seen in the United States. It is huge. And so I also just want people to feel that energy, and because of the pandemic, we're not all out together. And so I think it's important for folks to realize this is really happening. And this election is in our hands to determine, and women are going to be the majority of voters, and they're going to make the difference.
Yeah, it's very encouraging, and the community among voters this year. I think that, you know, we're so isolated from each other. It's hard to feel that connection. But when you see everyone going to the polls with such intention, you do feel a sense of a group, of a tribe looking out for each other, that, you know, valuing democracy is such a big part of our community and part of our lives.
I really think that's true.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, when I voted in New York, I mean, of course, in New York, folks, we love to complain about everything. No one was complaining, waiting hours in line to vote. It was a sense of that kind of solidarity that was really, really find out what you can do. But I'm really been impressed by the number of organizations that are working to support voters at the polls in the moment, because nobody should be denied the right to vote. But you're right, it's an imperfect system. And so I think it's really important for people have to kind of be their best advocates. And it's also why we're just encouraging women to get out and vote now, vote early, get it done. So if you do run into any problems, you still have a chance to, you know, cure your ballot, or to make sure that if it doesn't work out that day, that you can get back on a date that it does. I think that's Natalie, thank you. And I noticed too, I think a lot of folks are actually putting in their numbers, places women can call, anyone can call if they're having trouble voting. So yes, but if anything, if you run into any trouble, let us know at Supermajority, because that's our whole goal, is just to help make sure that women have the chance to vote, and that we support each other in the process. So I'm really grateful. I can't believe you're like doing this from Australia. And thanks for getting your vote in early. That's really important.
I felt very lucky. Luckily, California, I always vote by mail anyway. So people around the world who are tuning in. I'm sorry you're not you're not really addressed in this, but we're thinking about you, and we hope that our country makes good decisions that in the way we affect the rest of the world.
Right. Absolutely. No, the global movement of women too is so impressive. And thank you for being such an, I know will help a lot of women get out and vote this time. So thanks for putting your good name behind all this work.
That means the world to me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Bye,
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.